Hi there. In the previous video, I created this PHP program that allows you to ask questions about a PDF file and then get the answers from the ChatGPT API. And currently it works only on the command line. So if I run this test.php, it will ask me, what do you want to know? And currently it's only reading it from one file, which is this 4hours.pdf, which is over here, which is the 4-hour workweek book by Tim Ferriss. Now this is just 37 pages of it, but it's still long enough that we couldn't just copy this and paste it into the ChatGPT message and then have it answer it. It's too long for that. But we can ask questions about this. So I can ask, for example, why did Tim almost fail kindergarten? And it will first pick some keywords that it's going to search from the PDF document, and then it will find the most relevant part of it, and then it will pass it to ChatGPT. And then we get the answer here. Tim almost failed kindergarten because he refused to learn the alphabet. And this is in fact in the book. If we search for kindergarten, then here it says, in 1983, I nearly failed kindergarten because I refused to learn the alphabet. And we could ask something else, like here it says, in 1993, I volunteered for a 1-year exchange program in Japan. So if we ask, and we have to run this again, when did Tim volunteer in Japan? Then hopefully it will find the answer. It will search for Tim volunteered Japan, when date Tim, and it says Tim volunteered in Japan in 1993. So it works. But in today's video, I would like to convert this from a command line interface to use this interface, which I have created in a previous video. So I created this ChatGPT clone with HTMX and PHP. So if I start a new chat here, I can ask anything. Tell me a programmer joke. And then it will connect to the ChatGPT API and it will say, why don't programmers like nature? It has too many bugs. So let's include a PDF searching functionality into this chat. But first I want to make a couple of changes to this code. So the first thing I want to change is in our lookup.php. So I forgot to implement one very important step in this. So in this lookup.php, in the find matches function, we are going through all the chunks of text, which are 4,000 character chunks of the PDF file. And we are first counting the document frequency of each keyword in the whole PDF document. And then we are going through all of the chunks and we are calculating how many times each keyword occurs in each chunk. And then we divide the occurrences by the document frequency. So this is like a simple implementation of the TF-IDF algorithm, but it's not the actual algorithm as far as I know. But the problem with this is that what if we have the following chunks? Let me check here for like a Richard Feynman quote. So if this is the part, so imagine that we have this text and we split it into chunks. Now we're going to have some overlap with these chunks because in our PDF read file, in the chunk text file function, we have this overlap of 1,000 characters. So let's imagine that this line over here would be the overlap between these. So we would have this as the first part, and then we would have this as the second part. Now, this part obviously has Richard Feynman in it, and it has the quote by Richard Feynman. So if we would be asking what quote by Richard Feynman was in the book, then we would find it in this one. But since we overlap a little bit, then we will have Richard Feynman in this one as well. And what if this block happens to end with Richard Feynman? Then now this block would have more occurrences of Richard Feynman than this block. So we would try to search from this one, but we would not find the quote because it is not in here, but we have Richard Feynman here in 2 different places. So how we could fix this issue is we could only take a block of text from the middle of the block. So we only take this part into account when we calculate the number of keywords. Now, this is kind of a bad example because in this example, we wouldn't have Richard Feynman in either of these chunks. But trust me, we have to do this because if there is some keyword in the beginning or the end of the chunk, then we might not have the actual information about that keyword in that particular chunk. So we only take the chunk that has the keyword in the middle of it, but then we send the whole chunk to ChatGPT. So let's do that. So what we have to do is here where we count the occurrences, is we will take a substring of this and we will offset it by some amount. Let's call it crop. And I believe we can say minus crop so that we take that amount from the end of the string. So if we do that and then we set the crop here, we say int crop is, let's say 500. Then now we drop 500 characters from the beginning of the chunk and 500 characters from the end of the chunk. But there's one problem. We should not do this for the first chunk because then we lose the first part of the text. And we shouldn't do it for the last chunk from the end because then we lose the last part of the PDF document. So let's do this. Let's just call this chunk and let's say that chunk is that, but only if we are not on the last one or the first one. So we could have we have the chunk ID here. So if chunk ID is 0, if it's not 0 and the chunk ID is not count chunks -1, then we are going to do this. Otherwise, we take the whole chunk. Now, this is in fact still not correct. We have to have two if statements. So if we are not in the first chunk, then we crop from the beginning. And then if we are not on the last chunk, then we crop from the end. So this will be set to 0 because we have chunked it already from the beginning here. And then we will chunk that chunked part from the end, the crop amount. Hopefully that makes sense. So that should be it. Now let's try if it actually still works. So let's ask again, when did Tim volunteer in Japan? And we got the answer, Tim volunteered in Japan in 1993. So it still works. And let's try this one. What did Anthony say about the book? And I test this one because this is in the end of the book, so to check that this is working properly. Anthony said that the book and blog inspired him to quit his job. Okay, so this is from the end of the book where Anthony says this. So it works. Now, there's one more thing I want to optimize, or rather clean up. So this part where I read the text file in chunks. I don't really like this part of the code. So I have this weird if statement here. So I'm checking that if the current position of the pointer in the file is greater than or equal to the overlap, then we seek back the overlap amount in the file. Because if we don't have this check, then we might seek into a negative pointer position. And then we have this check that if the length of the current chunk that we read from the file is greater than or equal to the chunk size, then we only do this. And this is so that we don't seek back in the last chunk. But in fact, what we could do here is we could just set this like that, and we could say if EOF, which means if we have reached the end of the file, then we will just break. Now we have the same thing here in the while loop, so I guess we could like just set it to while true, although I'm not sure if the end of file marker can be in the beginning of the file. So will this fail if the file is empty? Not sure. So we might as well have this in here as well. So now if we read the last part of the file, then we should just break here and we won't seek back. And if the first part is smaller than the overlap, then, well, we already reached the end of the file because the overlap should not be more than the chunk size. We could actually add this here. If overlap is greater than chunk size, then we should like throw new exception. And we might say that the overlap must be smaller than chunk size. Because before in the Python version, I ran into a problem with this because I changed the chunk size to 100, but I didn't change the overlap. And then we went into an infinite loop. So I guess this should now work. I still don't really like this part of the code, but it is what it is. Let's try if this still works. What did Anthony say about the book? Anthony book say, Anthony say, Anthony book. Why do we have Anthony so many times? Okay, it still works. So now that that is out of the way, let's try to integrate this into our chat HTMX. So how are we going to do this? Well, I have the project here, and in here we have the sendMessage.php, which is in fact not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for getResponse.php. So this one sends the message to ChatGPT and then gets the response. So here we should give the ability for ChatGPT to read a PDF file. Now these two projects are in different GitHub repositories. ChatHTMX is one repository and PHP GPT PDF read is another repository. So I'm not sure where I will publish this thing. Should I update the HTMX repository or the PDF read or create another one? So I am going to copy over everything from the PDF reader. So I will say CPR PHP GPT PDF read into here. So then I should have it here now. So now I can include those files in my getResponse.php. So I will, in fact, copy this ChatGPT library from here into this one because I made some changes to it in the previous video. So I'll do that and I will remove it from here. And I will create a folder called uploads. And I will move right now this 4 hours.pdf in here. Temporarily, we will actually make like an upload interface to this, and I can delete this 4 hours.txt from here. And then what we can do is we can go to our get response, and we have to give ChatGPT some functions that it can run. So let's in fact define a function here. Let's say function answer question from PDF, and we will give it a string of a file name and a string of a question. So we will give this function to ChatGPT so that it can call this function if it wants. And what I will do here is I will do basically what I have in my test.php. So I have to require all these files. So I will put them over here, and they should in fact be from PHP GPT PDF read / that. And we are going to get the keywords. So we are going to call the get keywords function in here based on the question. So this will ask ChatGPT, hey, what keywords should I use to find this question, find the answer to this question in this PDF? And when we get the keywords, we will then convert the PDF into text and then chunk the text into chunks and then find the matches from the chunks. So let's do that. And this, of course, will be just the file name. And I will make this so that it will be from the uploads folder. And I will give it a base name of this file name. And then when we get the matches, then we need to do all of this stuff. So let's copy this whole thing and we will paste it here. And instead of echoing this out, we will just return the response. And here we will return unable to find answer. So basically with the find matches function, we will get an associative array of all the chunk IDs and their points, how many points they got like as relevance to the question. And they are sorted by the points. So the best points is at the top. So basically we are looping through all of the matches, starting with the best points and then trying to answer a question based on that chunk of text. And the answer question function will just send this prompt to ChatGPT. Based on the above excerpt, what is the answer to the following question? And we will have the excerpt here, or the chunk, and then we have the question, and then we say, if the answer to the question is included in the above text, respond with the give response function. If it is not found in the given text, respond with the next excerpt function. Now we have to do something about this prompt because currently it only works with the GPT-4 API. So we'll have to figure that out. And then if we have the name of the function in the answer and it is give response, then we give the response. Otherwise, we go to next. Now we should have some limits here, because if you have like a really large PDF file and you ask some unrelevant question, then it will just loop through every single chunk in the text. So we could set here chunk number is 0 and limit is 10 or 5, and if chunk number plus plus is greater than limit, then we are going to break. So now we shouldn't have like a very long loop and we would send like a lot of tokens to ChatGPT and it would cost a lot of money. And since this is going to be the response from a function call, then we might in fact give this response in like a JSON format. So we could say JSON encode, and let's pass in here an array, and let's say response is that, and sorry, this has to be PHP style, and let's add like a status, and here it will be okay. And then down here we will say that status is fail and response is unable to find answer. So now we have this function that should be able to answer a question from a PDF file. So what we're going to do next is we are going to give this function to ChatGPT. And with my ChatGPT library, we can do it in the following manner. We can say ChatGPT add function, and we will add the name of the function, which was answer question from PDF. And we could add some doc block here to add like a description of this, but I think this is obvious what this does, so I don't think we have to actually add the description. So we just do that. So now ChatGPT can use this function if it wants. And if it uses it, it will get the answer from the PDF, and then it can use that answer to actually answer the message. So let's see if this works. But first, I think I have to do these require once. And in my GPT here, I have to say that this is require once from dot slash. And let's add dir here as well. And that should work. Now, of course, we only have the one file here. So let's refresh this and let's create a new chat. And I'll say, where did the author go on a 1 week vacation according to 4 hours.pdf? Now, I forgot one thing, which is that this will echo some dots over here. So I will remove that. And let's send this message and see what it does. Now, we don't actually see what function it is calling, which would be a nice, at least debugging feature here. But let's see what is happening. Let me check the error log here. And we did not get any errors. Actually, it worked. So we got the response. The author went on a 1 week vacation to Florence, Italy. So it read the file and it found the answer. So now we can ask any question. Now, this chat history is now saved in the actual history to ChatGPT. And in fact, we will have, if we check the chats, and maybe it's the last one here. Yes, so I think we will have no, we don't have the function calls in this chat history. That's right, because this currently does not support that. It only supports the role user and the role assistant with just the content, which is kind of good because we don't want to have the response to the function call here, because it will then add all those chunks of text in the message history. But since we have the history here, then we shouldn't have to tell it again that use 4 hours, because it knows that it has to read that one. So if I say something like, what quote by Richard Feynman was in the book, then it should be able to read the 4 hours of PDF again and find the answer. Okay. As an AI, I don't have the ability to read physical books or documents directly. However, I can answer questions. Okay. So perhaps it didn't understand that I meant the same file. So can I say, use the same file as before? Sure thing. Could you please specify the question you would like me to answer from the PDF? What quote by Richard Feynman was in the book? To answer that, you need to provide me with the name of the specific PDF. That is interesting. It should have the history. use the first PDF file I mentioned. Could you please mention the first PDF file again? So what if I say now 4hours.pdf? Now if it works, it has the message history because I gave only the file name and not the question now. Okay, I think it does not have the message history now because it's behaving very weirdly. But the message history is here. So I wonder if I'm not loading it correctly. So here I'm passing in the chat ID to ChatGPT, and it should load the chat history from there. So let's go to the definition and let's see what happens here. I have to call load. So here I need to say ChatGPT load. I should make it so that it loads automatically because I always forget to add this load in the beginning. So this will load the actual chat history. So let's try this again. Where did the author go on a 1-week vacation according to 4hours.pdf? The author went on a 1-week vacation to Florence, Italy. What quote by Richard Feynman was in the book? To assist you, I would need to know the specific book. Okay, read it from 4hours.pdf. Okay, something is not correct here. So when I call load, what happened? Okay, I need to set the load function. I don't have a default load function. I'm pretty sure I fixed this already. But why does it not work? Load function. Oh, I think I'm on an old version of this repository. So if I go to github.com/uncon/chat-htmx, I have in fact here in getResponse made the change to use the load function. Exactly. So that is the problem. So I have to add this load function so that it can actually load the messages from the chat array. So I should have pulled my Git repository first, but if I do this, then it should work. So let's do this one more time. Where did the author go on a 1-week vacation according to 4hours.pdf? Florence, Italy. What quote by Richard Feynman was in the book? The quote by Richard Feynman in the book is, "The first principle is that you must not fool yourself, and you are the easiest person to fool." So now it works. Now we have the chat history there, and we can read from a PDF file. Now, the next step would be to actually be able to upload a file in there, because now we have to tell it what the file is, and it has to be in the uploads folder. So how should we do this? So let's go to our loadchat.php, which has our message form here. And I'll in fact add here autocomplete off because I don't want to have that. And in the form, we could just add an upload field. So if we say input type is file and name is file. Now I have to figure out how to upload files with HTMX. I guess I have to set or do I just set the enc type here, which will be multipart/form data. Maybe it works like this right away. And let's add here like a div with the class of upload field. And let's put this in here. And let's add like a button here that says upload file. And let's add an ID for this upload file. And if we go back here and we refresh and we go here, then now we have a file upload here, but I want to style this a little bit differently. So I will wrap this in a div and I will call it message div, whatever. And I will put these in here. And in my CSS file, instead of having the form as display flex, I will add it to the main message div. So that will be display flex. And if I now refresh, then now the upload file is here, but I want to in fact hide this upload field and I want to just be able to click this upload file to do it. So I will have to do this. Upload file will be hidden. Upload file. Display. I'm not sure if I can do display none. Am I going to be able to like simulate a click on it if it's this. So I could do like position, absolute, and top -999, and left -999. And if I now refresh and I check this, then now we have just this here. And then I can go here and I can add something to this. Now, I'm not sure if I can do this with HTMX, so I will just do it with regular JavaScript. I will just put onClick will be document query selector upload file dot click. Is that going to work? And return false. Now I might want to move this in a different file, not just have it as onClick, especially because we are using HTMX. So I think that these onClicks will always like save the event listener when we load this load chat.php every time, even though we replace it. So it will be like added to the event listeners. But let's see if that will work. So if I refresh again, new chat, upload, then we get an upload. Okay, so that works. And then we can add to this input like on change is message form submit. And let's see what we are actually posting. So I will open the inspection and let's go here and let's select some file here. So I'll actually pick this 4 hours of PDF here and I will select it. And okay, so we actually posted the form, but we didn't post it with HTMX. So let's see what happened. So we have the file here, and did we in fact send the file? We might have, but we posted it in the wrong place. So I have to Google a bit. Send HTMX form with JavaScript. And this is the problem searching about HTMX. Google thinks that you want to know about HTML. I want HTMX. Submit form from outside the form with HTMX. A couple of ways. Dispatch a submit event to the form using JavaScript when the button is clicked. Well, I did that. Add the hexpost attribute on the external button and also add hxinclude. Okay, let's see. What am I doing wrong? Do I have to say hxtrigger is submit? Let's see if that makes any difference. So let's refresh this and let's go here and upload file and 4 hours. And again, we send the form. Okay, let's do HTMX trigger manually. All right, so in fact, I have to set HX encoding to multiple form data. So not enc type. And what else? Can we set the trigger to the on change of this one? Can we do like trigger submit and change upload file? Let's do HTMX trigger on change. Changed. Okay, so, okay, if I understand correctly, I have to say changed and I have to say target is upload file. Let's see if that works. Nothing happened now. What about from? Changed from upload file. Let's see if ChatGPT can answer HTMX questions. I've tried it before and it's not very good at it. I want to post an HTMX form from the change event of a file input. How can I do that? Okay, file input, add event listener, change, submit. Well, can I do exactly this? Or can I not use on change? Now we have HX trigger change, but I don't think this is the right way. So let's just try this. Let's say hello, and if I do this, it still works, and we get the answer. What if I say what's up, and I go to the inspection, and what if I say in the console, target error. Okay, if I say here message form submit, yeah, it doesn't work. You can't submit it with that way. That is interesting. Does it matter how I call it? If I say document query selector message form submit, Yeah, it still submits the whole page. Why is that? HTMX trigger submit manually. Okay, we can apparently use HTMX.trigger to trigger a specific trigger of an HTMX element. So let's try to do that. So if I once again go here and I say, tell me a joke, and I go to the inspection and I do this, and I will say that this will be the message form and this will be submit, and I do that, then that works. Okay, so we do get a target error for some reason, but let's do that. So I will add this into the on change of this, and we'll move this into a separate file later, perhaps in another video. But now if I refresh this page and I go here and I write here something like hello and I select a file, then now it is submitted, but I wonder if we actually sent something. I forgot to turn on the inspection, but we should now post to send message, and here we should have a file. So we should handle the file upload here. So if is set files file name, then we are going to upload it. We are going to call move uploaded file, and we are going to move it from the temp name to the upload folder, uploads / base name of the file name. Now this is of course a very simple way of doing this. You should have some standardization here. So you should check that it is actually a file that is allowed to be uploaded. But of course this is just, I'm running this locally for myself, so I'm not going to worry about it at this moment. But obviously don't just do this in production. And then we could say here that the message will be this. And in fact, let's do it the other way. So let's set the message to nothing. And here let's say that the message equals I have uploaded the file, and let's add the base name of the file. And let's add a couple of new lines. And then let's add to the message the actual posted message. And let's trim this message. So now if we only upload a file, the message that we send to ChatGPT will be, I have uploaded a file, and with the name of the file. And then if we also have a message there, we will append that message directly in there. So then you could like send a message and upload a file at the same time. And let's in fact use the message here as well. And let's do this. Let's go back to the main page and refresh, and let's try to upload something. I will upload 4hours.pdf, and it will say I have uploaded the file 4hours.pdf. That's great. How can I assist you with the uploaded file? Now, I don't actually know if it did anything because I already had the file in there. So in fact, it was modified. So yes, we uploaded it here. So it does work. So I will in fact move this here. So now it's not there. And let's start a new chat, and we will upload a file, and we will pick 4hours.pdf. I have uploaded the file 4hours.pdf. Great. How can I assist you with the PDF file? Where did the author go on a 1-week vacation? Okay. Why are we opening this? Because it's a button. So I'll cancel this and I'll click over here. And it says, I'm sorry, but I was unable to find the answer to your question. So let's try another question. What did Anthony say about the book? And again, we get this, so I have to fix that one. According to the file, Anthony said that the book and blog inspired him to quit his job and so on. So now it works. Now, I want to change this upload file functionality. This is actually not good that it will automatically upload the file. So in fact, what I will do is, first of all, I will trim this message from here as well. And I will go to my load-chat.php, and I will remove this on-change functionality that I worked on for a long time. And I will in fact remove the upload file button, and I will just add here a text. upload file. And I will change my CSS. And I'll just add here some margin. Margin bottom 10 pixels. And let's see what this looks like. Okay, now we have an upload file field here. And I'll add a margin top as well of 10 pixels. All right. And in fact, I will change here input of type text will have that border radius. So this will not have that one. So now we can actually select a file, and then it has been selected. And then we can ask a message directly. So let's try and do that. Now, it would be nice to be able to cancel this selection, but that is a worry for another day. Let's create a new chat, and let's directly upload a file. And I will pick the 4hours.pdf, and I will say, where did Tim go on a 1 week vacation? Now, this is actually one of the things that will change the result of this particular question is if I write it with 1-week or 1 space week, because in the book it is 1-week. And if I say this, then it usually adds this as a keyword. But if I add a space there, then it adds 1 and week as separate keywords, and then there's other places in the book that have 1 and week. But if I now send this, then I get the answer. Tim went on a 1 week vacation to Florence, Italy. And then I can ask, what quote by Henry David Thoreau, if I can write that correctly, was in the book? And send, and we should get the answer. The quote by Henry David Thoreau in the book is, I also have in mind that seemingly wealthy but most terribly impoverished class of all, and so on. So now it works. Now I can actually give it a PDF file, and it will convert it into a text file, and then it will find an answer in that PDF file for the question we asked. Now, in fact, we could do it so that we could use just regular text files, because the way I did it is that I have this PDF to text which converts the PDF into a text file, and then we chunk the text file. So this is kind of an optional step. So we could say that if the substring of file name from -4 equals .pdf, which is not really the most reliable way of determining a file type, but in this case it will work just fine. Then we do this. So if it's a PDF file, then we convert it to a text file. Otherwise, text file is the file name. Now, of course, what if somebody uploads a binary file? What happens? Well, the ChatGPT API will just fail if you try to pass binary to it. So now what I could do is I could go into new chat and I could upload some file. I have a falcon.py, which I used for testing out the Falcon 40B LLM, which ChatGPT probably doesn't know anything about. But I can say, what does this file do? And I also have to change this. It's not answer question from a PDF. It should be from file, because now it can be just any file. So let's see if I send this, what will it say that falcon.py does? And the thing is, it will chunk this Python file and it will use keywords. So I didn't really think this through. And it seems like it is in some sort of loop, or it has encountered an error. End of file, argument 1, must be type resource, boolean given. Okay, so file name is boolean. Sorry, I have to pass in the whole path, file path. Is that? So that should work. And now, as I said, this doesn't really work for like short Python code, because you would just have to give the whole code to ChatGPT. Now, what will happen is that the chunks will create just one chunk, and then we'll find matches in the chunk, so it'll just return the whole thing. So I guess it will still work. It will just make an extra step in there that it doesn't need. So let's refresh and let's start a new chat and let's upload falcon.py. What does this file do? And it really doesn't matter what keywords it uses, because it will always return all the chunks. So whatever the points of the chunk, the one chunk are, it will return them. But let me check if I have some errors again. I still have errors. Why do we get an error? Chunk text file. Because this should be file path. And let's try this one more time. New chat. Select falcon.py. What does this file do? And let's check the errors. No errors this time. This is the old one. The falcon.py file is a Python script that creates a text generation pipeline with a specific AI model. This script facilitates interaction with users, allowing for input prompts and generating text responses. Moreover, it handles redirecting standard output and standard error streams to suppress any unwanted console output during model creation and pipeline setups, which is exactly what that file does. So now we can upload any kind of text file or PDF file and it will answer questions about it. Now, this will be the end of today's video. I think I will make a couple of improvements to this and perhaps I will upload it into a separate GitHub repository so that you can try it out if you want. And let me know in the comments if you have any ideas of what I could add to this or what I could do next with the ChatGPT API or HTMX or PHP or Python or whatever. Leave your suggestions down below and make sure to subscribe to my channel so you get more videos like this in the future. So thanks for watching and I will see you in the next one.